Hi guys, welcome to Learning Electronics Repair and more car booty. Yeah, we have another machine here. It seems that this guy at the moment is working very hard to find me some very scruffy machines. I mean blue. Okay, that's how this one came. The top of the machine's quite interesting actually, if we just change the camera there. Yeah, what do you think of that? Okay, so we don't have to play the guessing game what's inside this. I actually know what's inside this, so let's have a look and see if we can do anything with this. Is anything broken? Yeah, I mean it's all loose. Let's take a look and see what we have. Okay, so we have a Pentium 4 machine, no heatsink and fan. The motherboard is like just loose like this. It's held down with a screw somewhere, yeah, over here. So this PCI card here is kind of like mostly out of the slot, yeah, but nothing seems to be physically broken. No RAM in it, no hard drive. Of course you've got to take the RAM out because of all the important user data that's in the memory, yeah. You know, I think that's why they take them out, to be honest. So we can get these wires out the way. May as well just take this thing apart and then let's have a look what we've got. It has onboard graphics, so there's no graphics card in it. We just have this TV capture card and what's this thing? LAN or modem, probably a modem. Well, I unplugged the two cards and now this is just completely loose. Yeah, nothing holding it in there at all. The I/O shield fell down behind it. Bits of fluff and general detritus in this one again. It seems to be common at the moment with the machines I'm getting. This is clearly an Asus motherboard, it says Asus on it. P4S533, I've had these before. As this is a 533 MHz front side buzz motherboard, the processor is not going to be one of the very fast ones that are worth money. Yeah, 1.7 GHz, quite a slow one. So this motherboard is not going to be of a great value, to be quite honest. It's the P4 boards which have the 800 MHz front side buzz that are the more sought after. And if I ever find one with an ISA slot, yeah. But so far that has eluded me. So we have a TV capture card in. I have quite a few of these. They're not really worth anything. Bin. And we have a modem card. Bin. So I think we can go ahead and test this one, to be honest. I definitely have a problem with the leads on my meter. Watch, just touch this one. Must be a dodgy lead. Have to order some more. I probably have some more in actual fact. Let's see, so ground. Yeah, seeing your resistance there, climbing up, that's fine. Ground, okay. There's no RAM on this one at the moment, but we have the analyzer card so we can see if it boots. Probably give us a C0 or C1 error you would expect if it does boot. I've attached the little speaker, the switch, so power on, what does it do? Well, the standby light came on, but you can't see it from that angle. And it powers on but doesn't boot. Okay. CPU is cold, but I have quite a big pad on here, so it probably wouldn't warm up straight away. Let's go again. Power on. Power but no boot. Right. Let's just check a few things. So, first of all, can I switch it back off again with the button? If I can, the chipset is probably functioning to at least some extent, at least. Yeah, so it has control. It'll switch on and switch off. But nothing happens. Okay. Let's just check next if we have any power to the CPU. So V core is down on the MOSFETs. I need to find the junction between the high side and low side. Looks like it's probably here. 1.8. So that is probably correct for these sort of processors. So we do have power to the CPU, but it doesn't start. Usually that means effectively that it doesn't come out of reset or the clock isn't running. But it could just be because the CMOS battery is flat. Yeah, let's have a look. Well, that CMOS battery is flat. Okay, so we have a new one. Stick that in. Quick check. Yep, 3.3 volts. Let's see what it does now. So power on. Start. It doesn't do anything. Okay. I'll have a look to see how much current is being drawn from the CMOS, but to be honest, because it starts and shuts down, I expect this to be good, which will be anywhere between about 1.8 and 10 microamps. Probably being an older board, probably 4 or 5 or something. Let's have a look. So put the red lead onto the battery, black onto the clip and push the clip back. Yeah, 5.7 microamps. Exactly what I thought I would find, so that's good. So what's basically happening here, we have power to the CPU. It's either stuck and reset. It won't be a problem with the BIOS because it hasn't even got that far yet. It's not got to the point where it's trying to access the BIOS, otherwise we would get some code. The clock LED is on, so that suggests clock is running. It may just be that the CPU isn't running. Also, I've noticed the fan isn't running. That's interesting. But that may well be controlled effectively by monitoring the temperature. That CPU still feels fairly cold. Let me just see if it warms up. So, power on. It's not, oh yeah, it is warming a little bit. It's not warming a lot. So it probably is just reset. We can try and just clean the pins. This handy little thing that Det gave me. Okay. Blow any dust out of there. Okay, so I've reseated the CPU, I did a bit of a clean, yeah. Let's try and start it again. So power on, start. And we have nothing, okay. This is the reset LED, which is just on. This one is the clock LED, which is just on. That tells me this probably does have a clock, but it's stuck in reset. The CPU is just a little bit warm, you know, there's not a great deal of heat in that. It would be getting hot if it was actually running. So again, that suggests to me I've probably got a clock, but there's things stuck in reset. Switch off. We can just try this in another slot. I have seen sometimes this not give the correct indication, but again, the CPU isn't very warm. Okay. No different. No different. Let's see if we can still switch this off with the button. Now I've changed the CMOS battery. So hold the button in. It does shut down. So again, the chipset seems to be operating. There's a few reasons why it could be stuck in reset. One being just a faulty CPU basically. Another one being a problem with one of the supply rails not coming up, so we have various power good signals, and if it doesn't get the power good, it won't take the CPU out of reset. A good one to test on that is probably the RAM supply. We know we have the CPU supply. RAM supply is very easy to test, so it's just down here. I can see a couple of MOSFETs there and one there, so that's probably high side and 2 low side, just a guess, but it's probably a good one. on here, 3.3. I've got a feeling that this sort of RAM, this is PC133, probably does run at 3.3 volts. Just a guess. I'd have to look that up actually. I've just realised now there's no inductor down here, so this isn't like a VRM. This is more like a voltage regulator. But something here is getting quite warm. So let's have a look with the thermal camera, see if that gives us some idea. I can feel something warm down here. Okay. What's going on? Well, something is warm. Oh, this is the north bridge. That is really quite warm. It's switched off at the moment. And something down here. This one. Let's switch it on. So this is just standby, nothing else, okay? Zoom in a bit for you guys. Okay. So just with standby, that's actually not particularly hot, 30 something degrees. But I wouldn't expect anything really to be warming up much with it just in standby. That's just a capacitor. That's cold. 32. So there's some warmth down in this area, but I don't feel it. That's in standby, okay? This feels like it's a little bit warm. This transistor here, 37, 38, okay. Here is the north bridge, 33, 34 in standby. And the south bridge over here, about 32, 33. The SIO on this one, well, that's also down here. And that is cold. Right, now let's start it. So we hit start. We know pretty much this chip is running because we can switch it on and off, okay? That's a very good indication that this chip actually is working. So power on. And it's warming up a little bit. Obviously there's power on it now, okay? But it's not like going to meltdown. We've seen them before, yeah. This chip over here now is at 50 something degrees. 60 odd. That is not right. Okay, we'll look to see what that is in a minute. The MOSFETs, they're basically okay, really. Nothing particularly hot there. I mean, there's one there, but it's like 30, 40 degrees. Okay. So there is the thing down there, 60 odd degrees. Is this one? So there's a thing there. That one's about 60 degrees, that chip. That's a voltage regulator of some sort. And then this chip here, yeah, almost 70 now. And then the north bridge, and that's about 40. But you'd expect this to get some warmth. So the big problem with this seems to be this chip down here. This one, okay? So this one, UJ360195. I'm not sure we're going to even find out what that is, but we'll have a look. And then this is a voltage regulator, RT91738. That's getting a little bit warm, but not overly so. Okay. Let's see if we can figure out what this thing actually is. Well, I had a look, so that isn't actually the correct part number. The part number is the other one on the device. We can see down here ICS, then 93725AF. That is the part number, but it's not quite as helpful as you might think. So that brings me to a few links. I can find them here. DigiChip, another one. It says, for example, on this one, datasheet, and I can go to the datasheet link. I'll even open it in a new tab or copy the link, because clicking on it doesn't help. It just goes to like a timer running around, like it can't make the link to wherever it should be. Okay, we can have a quick, just go directly to it. Well, I've copied the link and all I actually get is a colon. Go back to it again, right click, copy link. Okay, into a new tab, paste the link. And it's just a colon, so the link isn't there. I mean, it's not a link, okay? I found another listing for this on DigiChip here, but there was no actual link to the datasheet. What I do know about this chip is that it's a DDR and SDRAM 0 delay buffer for SIS chipsets, which is what I have. So this effectively 6 pairs clock distribution for DDR. Once again, there's a link, but it doesn't actually take us to a datasheet that will actually do anything. Oh, and I'm wrong. Okay, so I actually did find a datasheet. We can see this has a 3.3 volt supply, and I also had a look at the supply voltage for the PC133 to check, and that is also 3.3, and that's what I have on the regulators down here. So I'm sure we can say we have the right supply voltage. This chip is getting much too hot. Now you would expect this to not be a sort of chip that would generally fail. It's not doing much work. I mean, maybe if there's some sort of short circuit and the RAM slots or components connected here. I had a quick look on AliExpress. I was thinking, hey, if I could just buy some of these cheap, I'll get some. Not that the board's really worth the expense, but for the fun of changing that and see if it makes any difference, okay. But what this does tell us is pretty much what I said about this board having power to the CPU, but it seems to be stuck in reset, or maybe there was no clock. And this is a clock generator, albeit for the RAM, okay. This is something I'm not going to be fixing at the moment then, and it isn't worth a great deal. I know that anyway, to be quite honest. I'm just looking inside the slots for anything stupid. Okay, I doubt short circuit capacitors are going to be an issue, because on these clock signals you wouldn't expect to have capacitors anyway, really. I don't see any corrosion or obvious damage down here. So is it just a faulty chip? Well, the best I can do with this is just to stick it on one side. I have storage boxes for these sort of things. Stick a label on this one that just says what I think it might need, and I may well come across another scrap board and have one. I'm just looking because I've just spotted something while I'm here, and that's this. That goes to this chip. What is that? Well, I don't think it was anything really. Nothing to write home about, yeah. Nothing of any great importance. So this looks like one I'm not going to be fixing, unless by chance I do have another scrap board and happens to have one of them chips, and then I think just for the fun of it really. So this is a Dell Optiplex, and I wouldn't generally consider Dell Optiplex to be retro stuff. But this one, well, it has a sticker on for Windows. 95. Yeah, Windows NT, Windows 95, and it says Intel inside Pentium 2. So this is most definitely retro. Quick look on the back. Plenty of rust. I mean, like, really plenty of rust on this. Yeah, very rusty, in fact, and it's quite a grubby looking thing, so not in the best of condition. But what's inside it and what condition is that in, that's the main thing. Yeah, so I don't think we need to guess what's inside this, we just need to figure out how to get inside it. It has little buttons. Yeah, I told you it has something like that. And it should slide off probably forwards. And the mechanism seems to be completely jammed. Probably with all this rust. Maybe this needs a little bit of persuasion. Or maybe it'll just come off. Like so. Okay. So we have, well, we had some wildlife in here, obviously, at some point. Something was living down there. I can see it's got legs. That thing, it's obviously fossilized now, I think is the best way to call that, but it was living, and possibly something else was living down there as well. So wildlife, okay, wildlife. Oh yeah, yeah, a graveyard. So I think it's just gonna get the motherboard out of this. I don't think I want to go down there, you know, guys. I really don't think I want to go there. Well, there's a hard drive over here with less presence of wildlife, and the motherboard's over here, so I think we'll get all this lot out and we'll have a look to see what we have. Clearly this is a restoration job, really. I mean, this motherboard only really fits into this case, okay? I mentioned about the state of the back of this thing before with all that corrosion. So you could, I guess, resurrect this and make a nice, I mean, it's got ISA slots on, yeah, Pentium 2, DOS, Windows 95 gaming rig, but you'd have to strip it down to do that. You'd have to see if anything else is living inside here or was, okay. We have the old hard drive. I mean, we could fit something else instead. What is that thing? Well, it's upside down, but it could be like a 3.2 gig or 2.4 or something like that, okay. This looks like a nasty dose of corrosion on here as well. Okay, obviously there isn't anything fitted there. I'll get the motherboard, the hard drive and the power supply out of this, and let's see if electronically it works, and then let's decide what we're going to do with it. Well guys, this thing is completely minging. I think that's the best description for it. Can't think of a better word, really. Okay, God knows what was inside it. A few bugs maybe in the hardware or software. Okay, I have the power supply. That's here, okay, power supply. So obviously this fits in this case, custom. This is the riser card with 2 PCI and 2 ISA. Interestingly, it only has like 3 slots here, so I'm guessing you can either use 2 PCI and 1 ISA or 2 ISA and 1 PCI, and these two effectively share the same space there, okay. Looks about right. 1997. The quantum hard drive. Okay. And the motherboard. I mean, look at this poor thing. Look at this poor thing. That's onboard VGA there. Okay. Oh dear. Another large one of those. Ground clip. Another ground clip. Okay. So this appears to be in about the worst condition I've ever found a motherboard, to be honest. Yeah, just looking at it. At least these type of CMOS batteries don't leak. These are all these ground clips again. Okay. Plenty of corrosion down there, all these capacitors and such like, yeah. I mean, that one even looks like it's blown up actually, like the pattern around there as though something is arced. What do you think, guys? That is exploded. Surprisingly, all the capacitors look okay. Yeah. They look okay, and we have a Pentium 2. What is this processor? I'd say it's probably a 233, and that seems to be what there's a link here sets as well. 233 megahertz. Yeah, that must be selecting the processor, and that's a 233. Okay. Normally, I'm game for plugging just about anything in. Let's have a look at this power supply as well. I'm going to open this up and see what state this is in inside it, yeah? Well, surprisingly, the power supply doesn't look too bad, actually. Maybe a bad capacitor down here, that may just be like dirt on there. None of the ones actually look bulged. So that actually looks pretty good. I mean, certainly compared to the motherboard and the rest of it. This connector is corroded to the point where there's basically none of the metal left, yeah? I mean, look at that, yeah. I've taken that off. I mean, this is pretty much rusted through here. This doesn't look quite so bad now, but it doesn't look too clever either. I mean, these could be replaced, but there's so much that you would have to do with this machine to get it into anything like a reasonable condition, and I already have at least one working machine basically the same as this one. It does make me wonder if this is the sort of thing worth doing. So let's have a look to see if this has any value. Well, yes, they are worth something. They have a value. There are some here, sold. So these are sold prices, so it gives us an idea of what these are worth. Well, given the condition of this thing, I don't think there's much to lose by just connecting a good, known working power supply to it. I've plugged the VGA lead in. I've no idea if I can even make a connection or not. But what the hell? I've done it, yeah. I've got the analyzer card in there, so we can see that at least. I'll just arrange this so we can see what's going on. Okay, so we can basically see what happens. Let's just try it, yeah, I mean, what the hell? Why not? So power on, and then I've attached this little cable from the front so we can see Does it even do anything? No, so nothing happens. There's something wrong with this. Even the standby isn't coming up, yeah? Let's just have a quick look at the resistance. So from standby to ground. It's basically a short. Oh dear. Oh dear. I do hope my known good 20-pin ATX power supply is happy still. Is this thing still working? Otherwise we have another repair job coming on. Okay, another video. Let's have a look. Well, the good news is that my power supply still works. Okay. The 12 volts a little bit low on this one. Perhaps I'll have a look at the capacitors inside it at some point, but it's basically working at least, so I didn't blow it up. So it's looking like this thing is pretty much beyond restoration. But you know what, guys? You can't win them all. Hopefully, at least I got a good processor out of it.